really excited for Equip this year because I think that this church is so hungry for diving deeper, for understanding more, and it just really goes to the purpose of this church, which is connecting people to a growing relationship with Jesus and others, and that is the mission statement of CP. And so what Equip is, if you haven't been, it's a time of gathering together as a larger community and then diving deeper into smaller groups. And you don't have to stay, with that same table the whole time. If you're an attendee, you can switch, move around, meet new people. I think sometimes people like to, you start to get connected with a certain group and you just sit with them, and that's fine too. But when I was asking Justin initially, what is your heart about why you did Equip and not small groups, I loved his answer. And he said, especially as a new church, you have sometimes, if you break up into the small groups right away, then it can start to feel cliquey, right? It starts to can feel a little isolating. But what's beautiful about Equip is that you have the ability to grow together and connect as a church, but still have that tighter knit experience with people and growing closer in that one-on-one conversation. So I'm super excited with how Equip is going to go this fall. Really wanting to do this more regularly than has been done in the past. But before we jump into that, each of you had some papers given to you when you walked in. This is the Connection Point Partnership Covenant. So I'm not going to go through word by word what this is, but just important to look at it. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Tara. Just really, this again isn't like a signing on the dotted line type of thing either, but really wanting to make sure that if you are joining in and wanting to be a table leader, we just want to make sure that you are willing to stand with what we hope a leader at Connection Point stands with. That first one, I will protect the unity of my church by acting in love towards each other. We're not gossiping. We're going to make sure that we are not sharing what someone has shared at our table, right? What's discussed at your table stays at your table. Not talking to other people about it. Following the leaders. I've been a part of small groups before where the leader has literally said, I know we're supposed to do this, but I'm not going to do it that way. We're going to do it this way. And it's that's not really good unifying mentality of the church as a whole. We are still in this together as a family. 2, I will share the responsibility of my church by praying for its health, praying for the growth, inviting unchurched people to attend, even inviting your friends who maybe they've been to church and they're just struggling with I'm not feeling very connected at my current church. Come join us for Sunday. Just see how you feel. See if it's something that you're growing in. Warmly welcoming those who visit. There are a lot of people that come to this church that are new believers. I love it. There is a special anointing on this church for people that come in and they immediately feel welcomed. I hear it time and time again. I've never felt so connected. I've never felt so welcomed in my life. And I think that's so special about this church. And a lot of that has to do with the people who are smiling and saying, I'm so happy you're here. Tell me about yourself. Is this your family? Are these your friends? Just little things to make them feel comfortable. We would hope that you would step into that with us. 3, I will serve the ministry of my church by discovering my gifts and talents, using my gifts and talents to make a difference in the lives of others, and developing that servant heart. So what can we be doing to really diving deeper into what your gifts are? I think it's so fun you walk into a church or you walk in to think this is what I think I'm good at, but being open to maybe someone overseeing would you be willing to try this? Because I think you actually might have a strength in this that's untapped. It's, are you willing to be okay, yeah, maybe I would be good at that. We were just talking about that. Maybe I should try ministry, middle school ministry and something like that. Being open to developing in those gifts and talents that God has given you that maybe have been untapped over time and developing that servant heart. We don't come into church with the mindset of, what am I getting? What am I getting? Justin talks about that all the time, but what can I give back? I will support the mission of my church by attending church and small groups faithfully, living a godly life, and giving regularly through tithe, offering, etc. So we really would hope that you would attend church when you can. Obviously, we know that things come up, but just are you present within your church community? If you're leading a small group, we just hope that, and I'm looking in this room, and it's I know you are, so I know that is something that, I don't need to spend too much time on, but just are you a part of this church? Any questions so far? Okay. So what is Equip? I talked about that a little bit already, but we are equipping individuals in their walk with Jesus through teaching in community. So we're really wanting to teach, to disciple. It's less of, my understanding, it's less of a preaching message and that, but more teaching. What are practical takeaways that people can talk about and dive into? And then it's that establishing the community aspect. People love Equip, and that's for a reason. It's because they have developed so many friendships from Equip. They've been able to dive deeper into not just someone else's spiritual life, but knowing about their personal life too, and what's going on in your family, what's going on with you. And you see that in the halls. You see that connection. So that's what we're trying to foster. So what is Equip practically? So that is going to be 2 or 3 weeks in a row. We're going to have this once a month. So before, I believe, what was it, every other month, every 3 months, something like that. But we're really going to try to emphasize this, having it every month, at least 2 or 3 times a week. So, not 2 or 3 times a week, 2 or 3 times a month. You signing up? You ready? Good to go? It's been a long morning. So it would be on Wednesday nights. And so we would really, really love if you would be able to make it to as many of those as you can if you are going to be a leader. And there are a variety of speakers that come in. So for September, I don't know if you've noticed, there's a lot going on in September at this church. And so I am taking on the first 3 and just kind of doing a little bit of a small series to start us jumping into fall. But after that, it's going to be a lot more variety. It will not be me speaking every time. Doris will be speaking. There'll be a lot of other, she's like, yes. I know she's got a lot of things stirring in her heart. Other staff members will be speaking. I know Sheila and Justin, who's running out the door, they do such a good job. And having maybe even others come in and just share their heart. And I love that. It gives everyone a chance just to share what God has been working on it and give the opportunity to hear from more than one people. So that is what Equip is. What do we got next? All right, so this is what the typical agenda looks like within the evening. So we start, everyone comes in, it's the time to catch up, time to fellowship. Then we have about 10, 15 minutes of worship, and then about 5, 10 minutes of prayer. And then there'll be a teaching, which is only about 15 minutes. So definitely not sermon length, a very short, condensed 15 minutes of teaching, because we really want to emphasize that discussion piece. So 30 to 40 minutes of sitting at your table. And what that will be is you have a list of questions that is typically prepared by the presenter and of what is talked about during their message, and discussion questions for you to lead for your group. So takeaways, what was something that really resonated with you? Or how do you feel X, Y, or Z? How can you bring this into your life? Going through there. So it'll be different every week. It's not like it's the same 10 questions you go through. It's going to be crafted by the presenter. And your role is really just to facilitate that. So that leads into what is the expectation for the leader. What is the difference between a facilitator and then someone controlling the group? So the facilitator is, you're sharing the question, and sometimes you sit there and you wait in silence until somebody says something. And silence is okay. It's okay to have it be a little bit awkward, because it gives people that time to think about what they want to say and can push them in their limit. But I always say when you're leading a group in any sense in that way, it's really making sure that you're not the one dominating the conversation. This isn't your time to teach, it's your time to lead. So it's your time to be able to just lead the discussion. If you think of something, let's say someone's talking and they say something and it sparks a question in your mind, I don't think it hurts to ask that question too. Oh, well, you said this. What do you all think about blah, 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 blah? And so I don't think it hurts to do that. It's not like you have to say, we have to stick to the script, but just making sure that the conversation is flowing within what the discussion is. We all know there are tangent people in this world that love to go on tangents. They like to make something this. And so there is probably going to be a lot of reining it in. And one of the things I always recommend first is set boundaries right away from the beginning of the group. Remind people, please make sure that you're being conscious of time and how much you are speaking. because there's talkers in this world. I am one of them. And so make sure you are just being aware of how much time you're talking. And you can even say, if you're someone who has a really hard time interrupting someone, saying something of just, I might give you a sign or give you a wink or just flat out say, hey, could you wrap it up because we just want to be mindful. Because then you feel less awkward having to do it in the moment because you don't want to hurt their feelings. So just right away from the beginning, set the boundaries of what you want to do. So that's kind of the difference of facilitating the group. And I think I had something else I was going to say. Expectation. So we do want to make sure that there's at least 2 table leaders together. So when you sign up today, there's a sign up out in the table out there if you would like to do it. If you want to do it with someone specific already, you can put their name together. I think I'll make that executive decision and say that's fine. So we know, but if you don't have someone in mind, and that's fine, you can just put your name and we'll partner you with someone. But I do think it's important to have at least 2 people at the table to help navigate that conversation, especially if it gets a little wonky and you're like, what do I do? What do I say? To be able to help rein that in. If for some reason we are short on leaders and we have to divide, we will. But sometimes we typically try to divide the staff too, so that's not something that you would have to take on. But just in case, if it's a week that everyone is sick for some reason or things like that. So 2 leaders per table. Try your best to be there every week. Obviously, you get sick, that's okay. But it's just nice to have that consistency and so that we can maintain having that 2 leader per table. Tara, how many tables were there last time? Wasn't 13 tables, yeah. So there was a lot of people here. Did you ever do a count of how many people? That's okay. But everybody loved it. I heard it was pretty packed. So 13 tables full. And also when it works for kids, so we do have a separate kids ministry. So the kids, there's Equip Kids and things like that. So it is just the adults, and we do have the teens in here as well. And middle schoolers have their own as well too. So it's the teens and the adults are in here, and then the Equip Kids have their own as well. So there is childcare if you do have that question as well, which is great. Any questions on expectations of table leaders? It's a short training. Yes, Candy. I will try to get them to you ahead of time. So yes, at least the day before. That it will be hard because it depends on how fast I get them from people. If someone is a little bit slower to get it to me, but I will try to make sure you can get them before, just to think over them, pray over it, figure out how you want to guide that conversation. Any other questions about that? Okay. These are some of the tentative dates. We say tentative because we all know Pastor Justin is all over the place sometimes. So he just all of a sudden we're doing this instead. So he keeps us on our toes. So these right now are the dates that we have listed. You do see some TBD. We are still hoping to do something on those dates, but it would be maybe a prayer night, a deeper night, something along those lines. But those are what we have for sure. If things were to change for any reason, you would be notified very quickly as soon as we know. If for some reason you're not going to make it, please let me know ASAP so we can try to get a replacement table leader for you, and you can contact me directly. So I'll make sure that everybody has my phone number so that you're able to reach out to me. Okay. So just some final tips. Yes, like I said, it's better to set boundaries right away from the beginning of what you're hoping the group to be just for people. If you know you have someone chatty in the group, just kind of work with your partner on that too. If someone's having a really hard time and a big response to the message, I think it's okay for someone to pull them aside too and just say, hey, let's just go talk in the hallway or something like that for a little bit. Just because we're here for the group and we want to make sure everyone has the opportunity to share and have the opportunity to talk. So if you have to have those conversations, feel free to do so. If somebody is really, really dominating the conversation and you're trying all the tactics to reel it in and it's not working, feel free to come talk to me. and I will figure out how to do with that. So I'll do something, right? So I'll have a conversation with them and figure out what we can do there. But we do really want to make sure it's a space for all of our introverts and extroverts to have a space to share. So I do think it's fine if you see someone and you know them and you can tell that they're wanting to say something but they're a little nervous. I don't think it's terrible to say, hey, Pam, do you have a thought on that? And just ask, because people are more willing to respond that way. Don't push people, like, come on, you have something to say. If they're just not comfortable, that's fine. But if you've noticed over the weeks and use your judgment that, like, you think they have something to say but just not comfortable, maybe just a gentle call out, like, hey, what do you think on this? Or do you have something to share? So I think that's great. I'll give you a trick, and nobody use it against me if you ever see me do it. I call it the yeah strategy. So if someone's talking for too long, and you want them to stop, just go, yeah. Because what it does is it actually breaks up their train of thought if you say something to them, and so they start to slow down, and then you can quick say something like, and so what do you think about, and steer the conversation away. So that is actually, it's a really practical tip, and I use it when I'm doing panels and things like that. So I call it the yeah strategy. So now next time I'm talking to someone, I go, yeah, you'd be like, she's using it, they're talking too long, but something like that. But that's a good tip, just to do it. But I think it'll be great. I know all of you, I can see, are just great leaders. It's one of these, the leadership and volunteer opportunities, I think, is great for people who are just really wanting to grow in this leadership skill, because you're able to grow in your skill and also encourage others in growing in their skills. Because you might see someone who has so much wisdom and so much that you want to say, and to be able to foster that out of them a little bit and give them the space to speak and to share is so encouraging. So I think that will be really great. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think so. But if you ever have any questions, please let myself know. You can ask Tara too. I'm kind of the newbie with Equip, so I'm still learning along with you guys. But it will be good. And yes, we need lots of table leaders. I'm not going to lie. We need lots of table leaders, especially wanting to have two people. But I think it's a great way to get to know people yourself if you're wanting to get to know more people and connect with them and just join people on their journey. Tara, anything I'm missing that I should bring up that I've forgotten? Okay. All right. I believe did we change, is it 6 to 8? Okay. Perfect. Great. Yes, so right on the table where the other volunteer sign-up sheets are, the welcome table, you can feel free to sign up there. Again, if you know someone that you want to partner with, feel free to put that down. Otherwise, just put your name, and I will be in contact with you sometime in the next few weeks, because the first one is September 4th, so that is coming up. That's next week. So here we go. So it'll be really good. I know everyone's very excited. But thank you, guys. Let me know if you have any questions.